Hey, it's Andrew Downs. I'm proud to support Three Beards Media, and I would love to work with you. If you need merchandise for your company, organization, band, softball team, whatever, I can help. From name brand apparel to promotional items, large orders or small, online stores, and more, I can help your brand stand out. AKC Marketing is local, based in Johnston, and we are an employee-owned business, so our costs are low and our turnaround times are fast. But most importantly, we give you personal service to make sure you get exactly what you're looking for. Email me at andrew@akcmarketing.com or find me on social media, and let's make some cool stuff together. Now sit back and enjoy this Three Beards Media podcast.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Andrew Barber here with Drew Shipley, as always, on Hawk's Eye View, and we're getting ready for a little CyHawk. But first, we got to talk a little bit of transfer portal for the Iowa football team. Drew, you know I'm always keeping my nose in the message boards. I'm way too deep in the message boards of Hawkeye Insider, specifically. Shout out David Eichholt. I hear things, but there is some noteworthy news, I think. Here, Iowa has 4 guys that they're having on campus that are transfer possibilities this weekend, starting today, and then also early next week as well. Quarterback Hank Brown is maybe the most notable one for fans just because it's the quarterback position from Auburn coming in to visit today and tomorrow. But I think it's even more notable that Jonah Pace, the defensive lineman from Central Michigan, 6'5", 285, interior guy, and Northwest Missouri State transfer, canceled his visit to Iowa State to be at Iowa today and was already at Iowa for the Nebraska game. I think that's a good sign, visiting Iowa twice in that time span. 6'7", 275 defensive end. Tall dude. Anthony Nelson vibes from this guy.
When you say the last name Pace, are we talking like Orlando Pace's relative? Because that would be like heritage, like that would be monumental shift in recruiting, really. Because Orlando Pace is like excellent.
No, he's a decent interior defensive lineman who put up similar stats, maybe a little bit less stats than what Aaron Graves did for Iowa this year, albeit in the MAC conference, but a guy that Iowa needs to just maybe build the depth that's going to be lost with YA Black moving on. Same with Langdon Kitchen, who's the Northwest Missouri State defensive end that I talked about. But then I think the biggest news is that Miami of Ohio cornerback, who's like an All-American type corner, Ryan Strader, is going to visit early next week. And kid is perfect for everything Phil Parker wants to do. So four guys coming in, all of them fill a need for next year's team, I think. So
I mean, when you talk about that, like Phil Parker fits, right? Like in the last decade, like, is there a better university in college football for defensive backs?
I'm trying to
get to the next level per se. Like Desmond King got there. Now he's like practice squad, gets signed. Josh Jackson kind of flamed out, but then we got Riley Moss, and now he's on IR, I believe. or maybe not necessarily IR, but he's a starter. Cooper DeJean obviously goes without saying. Like, are we talking like maybe not necessarily DBU, but like a path to the NFL in that system is on the table, right?
Yeah, I would say if you're not a highly recruited guy, you're not that five-star, 4-star. I mean, I always had a few of those in the defensive back room, right? But mostly we take the mid, low 3-star guys and turn them into NFL products. So I'd say if you're a lightly recruited guy who's getting some Big Ten offers, but not many, and you're down to Iowa and like Wisconsin, Northwestern, maybe some of these others, probably would consider Iowa better than that. But yeah, probably not DBU. That distinction probably goes to either Alabama, Georgia, Penn State, Ohio State. I think there's another obvious school that I'm maybe forgetting. Maybe you can fill in the blanks there, but
Texas,
maybe. But I would say Iowa's not too far below that. So, yeah. But that would be huge for next year's team because I liked some of the things that we saw from Deshaun Lee, TJ Hall, even John Nestor at points. But it was clear that TJ Hall and John Nestor maybe weren't ready for a starting role. If we could bring in a guy to be our number one, that would be my preference from the transfer portal. We have the spot available. So if we could bring in multiple guys, because the corner from Northwestern that picked 6th on us this year is in the transfer portal, and he's pretty good.
Yep.
I would like him too. He'd be a perfect fit here. So Michigan DBU maybe.
Oh, okay. So I'll play a little devil's advocate here. The only way that people in the Iowa program, players that in the Iowa program get better is to get snaps, right? Is to get playing time. I remember Riley Moss's freshman year. My close friend group swore at him up and down about getting beat, always getting beat. And the man turned into an All-American corner, right? So, and I'm not saying TJ Hall, I'm not saying Nestor necessarily, is going to end up being All-American talent. What I'm saying is Iowa's a developmental program, right?
Yeah.
So maybe competition breeds success.
Yeah, I think
bringing in guys like that.
I think you're on to something like that.
You only get better playing football. You only get better playing. You don't get better playing. Look at the quarterback position in the last decade of all these 4-star quarterbacks that haven't seen a snap at the University of Iowa. I keep saying that over and over again. Deuce Hogan, Rezar, all those guys that didn't really see any meaningful snaps at the University of Iowa that were 4-star kids.
Right.
That again, back to last week, consensus. This was not Iowa's talent evaluation. This was people that do this for a living. Hundreds of thousands of kids every single year said that these kids were 4-star quarterback talents. None of them panned out. None of them. 0. Like none. So, yeah. So I mean, I think it comes down to playing the damn game, Andrew. I think the kids need snaps. I think TJ Hall actually, between the two aforementioned corners, I think he has the highest ceiling. I think he can stick. He's a young player. I think he gets it. I think he's smart. I'm not saying Nestor isn't, but I think we saw more shades of TJ Hall this season that might stick on the roster, despite the transfer portal stuff. And again, competition breeds success. So if they pick up a good transfer portal guy that challenges those guys, then I'm all for it, man. Because the defense is getting a full makeover this year.
Yeah. If you have multiple talented corners in the transfer portal that want to come to Iowa, obviously you're not going to say no. But yeah, like you said, I'm fully on board. Don't hear me saying I'm not on board with the development side because I believe in whoever Phil Parker believes in. I'm not going to question Phil Parker at all.
I mean, that's what the program's done for 26 years, right? So, I mean,
right. So, yeah, you're spot on. But I think the other conversation here is Hank Brown. I think pretty good indicator that Hank Brown is going to be a Hawkeye. Probably by tomorrow. By the time you're hearing this podcast, he's probably going to be a Hawkeye. I don't want to set that in stone, but it's probably going to happen.
Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
What does that mean? What does the University of Iowa get in this player, Hank Brown? What are we getting?
What I think it means is we missed on Marco Lainez. This is essentially a Marco Lainez do-over in my mind. From what I've seen of him, he's going to be quarterback 3, probably. Maybe quarterback 4, depends on who else we bring in here. What happens with Shakes in the quarterback room. Probably battling it out with Stratton for quarterback 3. But redshirt freshman with 3 years of eligibility. He's not maybe the mobile guy, but he's not a statue either. And he started 2 games for Auburn this past season with kind of mixed results. So I don't think we really know what he is based off of the playing time. But I think it's a guy that Lester believes he can develop, and maybe he can start. Not next year, but in maybe compete for the starting gig next year, or in 2 years for sure be the starter. So I think it elevates the quarterback room, but it's a guy that Lester is going to have to develop for sure.
You seem very excited about landing this guy. So like I was more expecting like he's going to compete for the starting job type of deal.
No, I think I'm more excited by the fact that Lester's getting his guys in and guys that he believes in, because we saw what he did with Brendan Sullivan. He believes in Jimmy Sullivan, and Pat Fitzgerald's son, Ryan, is coming in next year. I think I'm more excited that the quarterback room is kind of just overhauling, and that we're going to have guys that Tim Lester believes in. I believe in Tim Lester's scheme.
Okay.
What this is.
Okay, so this is a long-term overhaul is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think the quarterback room was in serious need of overhaul. David Eichholz said something on Washed Up Walk-Ons with Tyler Kluver that stuck with me. He said he wouldn't be surprised if, almost everyone in the quarterback room was new. And I went, huh?
Would that be including Jackson Stratton?
And Brendan Sullivan?
And Brendan Sullivan?
Yeah. I don't know if that's going to happen necessarily, but we're getting something kind of close to that. Which brings me to my next point. I can't maybe drop a name. Well, it's out there on the message boards if you're on Hawkeye Insider.
I mean, it sounds like public knowledge to me, but it's getting to be
public knowledge that
you just give credit and call it good. What are they hearing?
Well, not David or Sean Bach. So it's not coming from David or Sean Bach. So I want to preface this with what I'm about to say, but I would maybe looking at South Dakota State's Mark Gronowski, the guy who came into Kinnick 2 years ago and played that immortal 7-3 game against Iowa. But he has led South Dakota State for the past 4 years. And I believe they've either won the championship or been in the championship each of the past 4 years with him as quarterback. 70 passing touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and like 1,800 rushing yards and 25 touchdowns on the ground in his career.
Oh, shit.
So the word is that he is going to go and maybe get evaluated, not at the combine, but like some sort of Senior Bowl adjacent thing. And then pending that feedback, he might go pro. But if not, he's probably done at South Dakota State and may look to move on. Now, he might go to Northwestern because his offensive coordinator from South Dakota State went to Northwestern last offseason. But there's things tying him to Iowa as well. So we might be in an Iowa Northwestern battle for this Gronowski kid. Don't get your hopes too high. It's out there, though. That's what I'm saying.
I think that's what most people forget about this whole transfer portal experience, right? Is at the end of the day, these kids and the coaching staff, all these are humans. They're people. They have and build relationships, right? So that matters. You know, Travis Hunter doesn't go to Colorado to follow Deion Sanders if he wasn't, at Jackson State.
Right.
How's the number 1 overall player in all of college football go to frickin' Jackson State?
Deion Sanders.
Deion Sanders.
Yeah, the relationships are what matter most, is what you were saying.
100%. 100%. So let's not forget that. And like you said, like the South Dakota State kid that might come back to school, he might go to Northwestern. That job is wide open at quarterback.
Right.
So, to play in the Big Ten one season and prove yourself and impact your draft stock, as opposed to go to Iowa where, like, do we have an identity as an offense right now? Like,
it's mainly a run first offense. Yeah.
When you have Caleb Johnson, when you have an All-American running back, but then what happens next year? You
know
what I mean?
It's that Shanahan scheme, man. It's that you want to get a guy that can make the throws, the right reads. You want to get that running game going, but it's all predicated on the running game, but you got to have a passing game too. And we didn't have that, but this Gronowski guy would give us that.
Okay. All right.
My mic muted. I think I mentioned
I saw that. I'm like, what happened?
I don't know what happened. I had to cough real quick. I muted my mic. It kept muting. Another guy I mentioned who is going to hit the transfer portal that I thought might be a good fit, Preston Stone, SMU. I think he might be a good fit. So
you did tell me that in a private chat last week.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I haven't said it on the show, but Preston Stone from SMU would be a good fit here at Iowa, I think, from a lot of aspects. So there's nothing linking him to Iowa yet. So don't get your hopes up, people. But
here's my question is, like, if you're sitting in the ACC, you made the college football playoff, right? And he's probably the quarterback in waiting at SMU at this point, right?
No, he got replaced.
Well, I understand he got replaced now, but, like, who's he behind?
He's behind someone younger than him who's going to be back next year, who's going to be a starter. So he's hitting the portal.
Okay. All right. All right.
He was supposed to be the guy, and he got benched this year.
Okay.
He has 1 year of eligibility. So I guess that's what you're going to get with Iowa's going to get 2 quarterbacks. They're definitely wanting to get 2 quarterbacks. The other thing about Hank Brown is that he's not going to cost NIL money, from what I understand. Like he wants to be here without like a huge NIL money. Now I think Iowa will toss him a little something because we do that for a lot of guys. So I don't think he'll get 0, but he's not one of these guys that's demanding a ton of money.
Well, and if you're saying what you're saying is he's a third string, like compete for third string guy next year, he's not getting NIL money next year anyway, right? Like,
not much, if anything. Right.
Here's my question then is, like, he went to the SEC first, right? He's at Auburn.
Yeah. So he originally committed to Hugh Freeze at Liberty, and then Hugh Freeze left for Auburn, so Hank Brown followed him to Auburn.
And Liberty was really great under Hugh Freeze too. Like they could have been the college football playoff group of 5 last year if they had a 12-team playoff.
But what I understand is that Hugh Freeze has to try and save his job because he might be under a little bit of a hot seat this year. So he doesn't have the time to sit back and develop a redshirt freshman quarterback, put him out on the field, even though he might believe in Hank Brown long term.
I know, and in the public perception, it doesn't seem like he might be all that great of a guy.
Right, exactly.
Might be a
So
great football coach, but
yeah,
little dirty, if that's a fair word, I think.
yeah, and so you now see Auburn linked to every quarterback in the transfer portal because they're trying to bring in everybody and just basically get the best quarterback that they can and hope that that elevates them enough to save Hugh Freeze's job. Hugh Freeze wants to save his job. So, but I think the bigger point here for Iowa fans is no, Hank Brown won't be the only quarterback that Iowa adds this offseason. They're going to add someone else, ideally someone that can either compete for the starting job or truly start from day one.
I have my full millennial like being inside of myself of like I want immediate gratification. Like I want I want a guy that's gonna be like all Big Ten quarterback coming to the freaking program,
Yeah.
and it's not gonna happen at the quarterback position. I just have
No.
I have to accept that. But
No.
like you're giving me a little hope for the long term plan, but like I want a freaking quarterback that can go and win, go and beat Oregon in Iowa City next year. A quarterback that can go to USC next year and win. Have you seen this? Did you see the schedule? The schedule came out yesterday, I believe.
I did see the schedule.
It's brutal.
It's tough, but what I like about it is that the better teams on the schedule are home games. It's tough to win on the road in the Big Ten, so I'm not taking that for granted necessarily.
Was it Penn State, Oregon at home, on the road at USC, Wisconsin, Nebraska? Is that right?
Indiana
at home.
Penn State, Oregon, all at home. The 3 college football playoff teams on the schedule at home. At USC, who knows where they'll be? They're going to try everything to save Lincoln Riley's job. At Iowa State, obviously. At Wisconsin, at Nebraska. The Luke Fickell thing isn't going well. Nebraska might have something. So really, at Rutgers too. Don't forget about Rutgers. I think Rutgers is a solid program as well. So it's not easy, and there's no real gimme games. We get Minnesota at home as well. There's no real gimme games other than the FCS tune-ups that we got on the schedule. But yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't say that if we get the Gronowski guy that I'm talking about that we would have zero chance of beating Oregon. I wouldn't say that. I would say it's at Kinnick. If we have a guy that can pass the ball at all and we have a balanced offense next year, I think we have a chance against anybody.
Let me ask you this before we move on to basketball. I know we're getting close to tip here, 22 minutes before CyHawk men's game. What do you think home field advantage is worth at Kinnick Stadium in 2024 and beyond? Because I don't think it means what you think it means in previous lifetimes and decades. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Kinnick anymore is a 3.5 point swing in Vegas per se. Like I don't think it's that advantage anymore. More people are staying at home, Andrew. It's way easier to watch the game at home. You got weather considerations when it's rainy, cold, snowing, whatever. It seems like, and this isn't just Iowa City. This is college football. This is football wide.
Yeah.
Of it's so much more convenient to watch football at home these days. What do you think home field advantage specifically to Kinnick Stadium is worth anymore? Because we lost to Iowa State on a fucking 57-yard field goal at the buzzer when we were.
Don't even tell me about it. Why?
When we were clearly the better football team. Like I mean, you know what I'm saying. So what is it worth? I don't know what it's worth because I don't see a lot.
Well, I mean, ask Washington, right? I mean, we were nervous about that Washington game.
Oh, now you're going to shove Washington down my throat because I thought Washington was good.
I'm not trying to shove it down your throat. I'm just saying that these West Coast teams who haven't experienced Kinnick on a regular basis may not understand what they're in for, and in those games against bigger teams.
Okay, when you're talking travel, that there's a piece to that for sure. Yeah, West Coast coming here. Okay,
but Kinnick at night is ferocious, man. Kinnick against ranked teams. If it's a top 5 ranked team like Penn State and Oregon very well might be, by the time they come to Kinnick, people are going to be there. It's going to be sold out. It's going to be loud. It's going to be crazy. So I still do actually think it's worth those 3 points that you're talking about. I still think it's
okay. I mean, you've been there more recent than I have, so I'm asking honest questions here.
And honestly, I don't think that's different than a lot of other stadiums. I think there's a rare exception of a stadium, like maybe a Happy Valley or the Big House or, some places in SEC country where you get 4 or 4.5 points for home. I think 3 points for home is pretty typical for anybody. So I think we're 3.5 depends on the occasion. 3.5 depends on the occasion.
Okay.
But 3 is just they just give you that off the top in Vegas, just for it being a road game with 18 to 22-year-olds.
I'm just saying I don't think it means as much as it used to.
Maybe we'll see that.
It still matters. It still matters to play at home. I just don't think it is as much. And that's
I don't think we have enough data to say it doesn't matter as much, but we might.
You might be right.
I would like to see that. Might be right.
No.
But anyways, I think we should take a little commercial break and then come back and talk a little bit of CyHawk basketball.
Let's do it.
Making great tasting bourbon requires the perfect combination of ingredients, conditions, and time. The longer it rests, the better it tastes. Revelton Distillery's new single barrel bourbon is made from 80% corn, sourced 100% from Iowa farmers. And unlike mass-produced bourbons, each barrel of Revelton's single barrel bourbon is unique, proofed on when it tastes best. As they like to say, it'll be ready when it's ready. And to ensure the highest standards of quality and flavor, owners Rob and Christy Taylor oversee the production and bottling. Every single barrel. Iowa born, Iowa aged, Iowa bottled. Try the new single barrel bourbon from Iowa's own Revelton Distillery. ReveltonDistillery.com. Whether you're buying, selling, or refinancing your home, or if it's simply time to renovate the one you're already living in, you need an experienced mortgage professional to help you analyze your financing options and to make sure the closing goes smoothly. And that's exactly what you get when you call Kyle Lehman at Wintrust Mortgage. Kyle's experience and expertise, coupled with Wintrust's rates and programs, ensures you'll get the mortgage that's right for you. You may even qualify for down payment assistance. Before you reach out to a realtor, call Kyle and get pre-qualified, empowering you to start shopping for the home of your dreams. Call Kyle at 515-473-0546. Kyle Lehman Wintrust Mortgage, 515-473-0546. In 2023, a crack Green Beret named Dan Douglas retired his military command and promptly escaped to a full-time career in real estate. Today, this man is wanted by home buyers and sellers who want to survive the process without spending a fortune. If you have a home to sell or want to buy one, maybe you can hire Dan Douglas at Green Beret Realty. You can find him at greenberetrealty.com. greenberetrealty.com.
All right. Thank you to our sponsors. We appreciate you. We are back. CyHawk basketball, I think we got to start with the women's victory over ranked Iowa State last night, 75-69. A lot of big storylines coming out of this one for Iowa, I think. What, if anything, stood out to you the most, Drew?
I was actually going to go the Iowa State perspective of poor free throw shooting. Turnovers down the stretch. I mean, Iowa took the game. Let's be honest. Iowa made the clutch plays. A lot of my Iowa State friends had blamed the turnovers. Oh, well, they had 19 turnovers. Did they not watch the Iowa-Tennessee game? You know, essentially a top 15 game now that Tennessee is number 17 in the rankings, and rightfully so. But what was the total? 31, 32 turnovers?
Yeah, 32. It was crazy,
32
man.
turnovers. So, like, 19, I was like, what's your problem, man?
Yeah.
We were still in a possession-to-possession game in the last 2 minutes of the game with 32 turnovers. So with that being said, like it was kind of an ugly game, if I'm being honest. I don't think it was very good basketball between two top 25 teams.
First half was really, really ugly basketball for Iowa, especially. You want to talk about the free throw shooting of Iowa State? The 3-point shooting for Iowa in the first half was basically non-existent.
Yeah.
It was rough. Yeah, but like you're saying, rough game maybe overall, but Iowa made the plays down the stretch they needed to, and
that's all that matters. That's all that matters in a rivalry game, man. Like, I mean, survive in advance. I mean, you're what, 9-1 now?
Yep.
It's a Hawkeye State, and it's going to be a Hawkeye State tonight, by the way. Preview.
Oh, boy.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Boy.
Oh, yeah. I'm predicting it right now.
Oh, boy. Yep. All right. Well, a couple other things. Lucy Olson, thank you for choosing Iowa. We appreciate you very much. We would be lost without you. But also thank you to each and every one of the freshmen that chose Iowa, because each of them contributed in pretty meaningful ways last night, especially Aaliyah Guyton. She kind of hit the dagger that ended the game there.
Did I hear this morning on the Morning Rush that Sean Roberts compared Lucy Olson's shot to Philip Seymour Hoffman's shot in Love Actually when he just chucks up shit? Like,
oh yeah, she does bend it. She like I'm worried that she's gonna break her back because she bends so far back when she shoots it.
But the only difference is that she makes it. Like,
it's such an interesting shooting motion.
It really
works. It works, and it's probably hard to defend because it's so unnatural.
Yeah, it's very bizarre to see her shoot, to be honest with you.
And you can see why she's probably a little bit better in that mid-range than the 3-point range. So that's something that's just different about this Iowa team. You know, you were looking at all the 3-pointers the last 4 years, Caitlin Clark and company.
I mean, yeah.
We're good. Obviously, we knew there was going to be a lot less of that. But I think this team maybe found a little bit of an identity, and their identity is kind of on the defensive end, which is a switch up, right? From the last 4 years, I really like the defensive intensity that I saw from Jan Jensen's crew.
Yeah, I mean, on the positivity side of that, somebody had to force those 19 turnovers, right? So
right.
You had to force that pressure. I mean, the on-ball pressure from the Iowa Hawkeyes last night, especially in crunch time, was elite.
Yeah.
It truly was. I know a lot of people gave Addie O'Grady a hard time not being able to defend in the post there. And I'm not sure many women can do that in college basketball against Audie Crooks. I mean, she's an anomaly. Like, I think is the word for it. Like, I can't say she's elite per se. I think she has a high basketball IQ. I think she's smart. I think she knows how to play the game, and her physical attributes contribute to success, you know?
Right.
And that's not like trying to bag on her physicality. I just think that, I mean, call a spade, man. Like, she's a freaking force. And when she gets into the paint unabated, she's a scoring machine. What did she score last night? 34?
31.
31.
31. But
31 and lost. I mean,
yeah. I
don't know. I don't know how to define her, but
she's great. I think you did a great job in defining her. The other thing is, I would say she has excellent touch around the rim. So that's what makes her great at this level, for sure. I didn't understand the Iowa defensive strategy early on because you can't play behind an elite post player, which is what she is. You can't do that. They did a lot better job where you saw like Ava Hayden and Hannah Silk
fronting her.
Yeah, and then having the defensive help come in behind. That was way more effective, especially in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
So like Ava Hayden and Hannah Stolke did a great job at that. And that was what ultimately I think won Iowa the game.
Yeah.
That, and we found the small ball lineup that worked in that scenario. I know we have been trying to play Stolke at the 4, but Stolke at the 5. Stolke at the 5 is our best lineups. However you want to fill that in, it's got to be a Fulter, Olsen, and Stolke out there as 3, and then however you want to fill that in with 2 other players is fine. But those are your 3, and Stolke at the 5.
I've seen. I'm glad you said that, because in that Tennessee game, I've never seen Hannah Stolke put the ball on the floor so much in my life. That like she didn't ever seem comfortable in doing so. She's so athletic on the jump cuts into the paint, pick and roll game type stuff. She's not a creator, and it seemed like Jan Jensen's trying to make her a creator, and she's just not that type of player.
No.
The fact that I've seen the ball so much on the floor when she has it, like I was shocked actually seeing that down the stretch in the Tennessee game. Like I don't know, like trying to grow her in the game of course as well. I mean, she's a junior, right? So she's trying to expand her role and her expertise and stuff like that. But I just don't think that that's her. I'm not saying she's Megan Cesano either, where it's like what there was one time sportsbooks said, is Megan Cesano gonna dribble the ball ever in a game?
Monica Cesano?
Yeah, Monica Cesano. 0.5. And the under hit more times than not.
Yeah, but that's a great example of a player knowing their limitations and playing well regardless of their limitations.
Yeah. And,
right?
and I understand trying to grow Hannah Stolke in this regard, but I just don't think her putting the ball on the floor is conducive to this offense. I just don't. And I love Hannah Stolke. That's my girl.
Well,
her putting the ball on the floor, I don't care for personally.
In certain scenarios, for example, she gets the ball at the free throw line down and needs to take a dribble or 2 to get to the rim. She's great.
Yeah, if you get to back somebody down.
Yeah, if you're gonna, I mean face up. If she's face up,
okay.
If she's face up and she puts her head down to dribble to attack the basket, I like that scenario for her. I don't like her handling the ball full court, which we saw in the Tennessee game. We don't need that.
From the 3-point line. Like, why is she hanging out on the 3-point line? I didn't understand that.
Again, spacing's off when you have her and O'Grady, her and Hayden.
Yeah.
It should be Stolke 5, Hayden come in, O'Grady come in. And I firmly believe that at some point the other 2 starters got to be Stremlo and Guyton. So Olsen, Guyton.
Oh, I mean, Guyton hit the dagger last night. And that was awesome.
Olsen, Guyton, Stremlo, Fulter, Stolke was our best lineup by far. It wasn't even close. All the metrics support it. All the stats support it. That's got to be our most played lineup. Whether you start it or not, that's got to be our most played lineup for the rest of the season. And then you can bring in O'Grady and Hayden and Feuerbach and McCabe can play in spots. maybe Tegan Malignan can obviously play as much as she wants to. So,
yeah.
But man, we hit on every single one of the freshmen that plays in the rotation. We absolutely hit big on this freshman class. So that's my big takeaway is we hit big on the freshman class. We can say that through a third of the way of the season. I feel good about the freshman class.
I mean, my takeaway is it's the Hawkeye State, and Iowa State was considered the best team in the state going into the season. I'm not sure what we did for predictions. Actually, I think we both predicted Iowa to beat Iowa State.
We did. Carver. We did. The only non-conference loss you had was
Virginia Tech.
Yep. I don't think we had any non-conference. I didn't have any non-conference losses.
And Iowa Hoops Dave, I don't think did either.
No.
Yep.
So let's shift to the men's game tonight.
5 minutes to tip. Let's go.
5 minutes to tip. Here we go. By the time you're listening to this, the game might have already happened, so we sound really dumb. Or we sound really great. It depends on who you listen to here. But number 3 team coming. This is a different Iowa State team maybe than last year. I think their offense is way better. I think their defense is way worse, which is crazy. The numbers probably don't say it yet for the defense, but I think in time the defense will show itself to be worse because
they play in the best basketball conference in the country, unless it's not even close. Right?
Well,
the Big 12 is the best basketball conference in the country.
SEC might have a little something to say about that.
SEC? Did you just say that?
Yes, I did.
Oh, get out of here.
It's them or the Big 12. But anyways, the other reasons for that is they don't have a true rim protector. The bigs that they had last year between Bob Jones and Hassan Ward could actually protect the rim. You don't have that with Deshaun Jackson or Josh Jefferson. Josh Jefferson is a great player on offense, but a below the rim guy. Deshaun Jackson isn't really a shot blocker, but can defend the rim a little bit. Mainly an energy guy on the offensive end too. So, you don't have truly good rim protection, which is why teams are shooting well in the paint against Iowa State. They're also shooting well from 3 because Momcilovic struggles on the defensive end. Keyshawn Gilbert's awesome offensively, but exerts most of his energy there. Lipsy's banged up. I think that's a huge storyline is his shoulder is not right. I've watched plenty of Iowa State. Like, his shoulder is not good. He refuses to shoot from the outside because of it too. So that's something to watch. Iowa State team's a little bit deeper than they were last year, though, too. I like what they bring off the bench with Chatfield and Curtis Jones, especially, and Indrositis, Nate Heisey. They go 9 deep, and they're pretty good at it. So this is a big game, big opportunity for Iowa. Right, the season's not over if Iowa loses this game.
I mean, they're expected to lose, right? So
they're expected to lose, but only they're 5.5-point underdogs. We know the history. Forgot to mention this with the women's game. The Iowa State women haven't won in Carver since 2006.
The Iowa State men haven't won in Carver since 2014.
Yes, exactly. So
there you go.
There we go.
There's your stat of the day.
So home court matters. Has seemed to matter in this men's basketball matchup over the last decade, essentially.
Yep.
But man, this is a different Iowa State team. This is a beast.
Throw it down. What's the prediction?
I do think Iowa State's going to win. I think it's. I think they're going to put up a lot of points too. We're going to put up a lot of points doing it. That might be bad. 90-81. I think this is a crazy offensive game. I think Iowa puts up plenty of points. I think Iowa State puts up more points and pulls away late. So here we are. But this is a big game, and a win would obviously mean a lot for Iowa. I'm just not going to predict it.
Josh Dix, Onions, overtime, 90-87, Hawks.
If that's the case, I may not be on next week's show because my heart can't handle it.
90-87 overtime.
My goodness.
Yep.
I'm going to lose it if that's the case. But again, I'm not going to predict it. It's a good opportunity for Iowa. The only other thing I'll add is, Iowa kind of missed their opportunity against Michigan. I liked what they've shown, though. I think this is a little bit better Iowa team than I maybe expected at the beginning of the season. I think they've shown a little bit more fight. And huge news, Seydou Traore and Cooper Koch are both good to go. It's very questionable that either one of those guys are going to play. Both those guys, we need them because I don't think Iowa can play Dembele a lot of minutes in this one. They got to play Traore and Tadjo. Chris Tadjo has to play, or Cooper Koch need to play all the Dembele minutes.
I can't wait to see this. I really can't.
And the game's about to tip off, so we're going to call it a night here. Enjoy CyHawk basketball. We'll be back with all of you next week. We love you and appreciate you for listening.
Drew Thelwell in the starting lineup.
Have a good one. Drew Thelwell in the starting lineup. Breaking news here on Hawks Eye View. But anyways, thank you. And as always, have a great night. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks, baby.